today, working on the truck again. We're getting it winter ready. Got new Falcon Wild Peak 37 12.5 R17 tires, new rims, nice lightweight, and I want to get them on. But I've noticed after off-roading the last couple of weeks, my suspension, instead of being nice and straight, my two front wheels, they're sitting like this, so getting a lot of inside tire wear. It's been a problem I've been having with this truck for a while. That's why I put in that suspension, box suspension, and that did help out a lot. But yeah, so today I'm gonna kind of try and get the tires on, but before I do that, I'm gonna try and straighten out that suspension a little bit, and I'm gonna try and fix a ride height problem which I have on my truck, which right now I've got 60 liters of fuel in there, which is around 100 pounds of weight. The fuel tank on these trucks is on the driver's side, but I've actually got a 3/4 inch lean on my truck from the passenger side to the driver's side. So we're gonna try and fix that all up today, nice and quick, and show you how you can take care of some of these problems on your own, keep your tires and everything else in good condition, lasting long. And so yeah, stay tuned and watch for more.
Well, here we are looking at the truck. One other quick question is, how do you figure out what's going with the ride height? Real simple, front, back, left, right. So we'll just go around the truck and we'll measure the distance from the top of our tire at the same point to the underside of our fender. So if we go here on this side, now I like to try and bring it out so that we're sitting kind of straight on the truck there. But sitting here, I would say we're measuring about 9.5, 9 and 9/16 to the bottom. I know we got a bit of bent metal there, but we'll call it 9 and 7/16. All right. So we're gonna write that down. We've got 9 and 7/16 here on the driver's side front fender. We'll walk around. We'll check the rest of the truck. So we're gonna choose about the same point on the tire, same point on the fender. All right, over here, we're sitting at about 10 and 5/16. So that's 7/8 right there, difference. 10 and 5/16. Now, the higher this number, the higher that number is, the more clearance we have, so the higher our ride height is. So the lower this number is, the lower the truck is sitting. So we'll go to the back. Now the back should be higher than the front. Same thing, dead center. Edge of the tire here. We're sitting at about 11.25. Let's call it 11.25. So I'll write this down, 11.25. And then we can move to the last one here at the back. Same thing, center of the tire. This one, center of the tire is kind of in the middle here, so I'll just span those two lugs and move this forward a bit. So we got about 12 and 1/16. Twelve and 1/16. So right here, we got a 13/16 difference, just over 3/4. And right here, we got a 7/8 difference. So we want these to be the same. Obviously, we want to keep the ride height that's here. This is pretty good. We've got 10 and 5/16 here. We're just under 2 inches higher in the back. That's great. That means that when I load this thing with camping gear, we've got 650 foot-pound springs, which means that if I load up 650 pounds in the back of this truck, theoretically, technically you'd split it between the two, but we should sag about an inch. I probably have close to 800 pounds of camping gear that I will load in this truck, maybe even 1,000 pounds sometimes, with fuel and water, and you know, we got the chains here and everything else. So it all weighs a lot, and we would still be higher in the back. And the reason why that's important, obviously, is so that when my headlights here are set and they're shooting out across, and I'm set for just driving around the city, when I load it up with camping gear, I don't want that headlight beam to shoot way up and all of a sudden be blinding people. So yeah, I'm happy with the ride height that we have here on the passenger side. The problem is that the ride height here on the driver's side is, you know, it's noticeably lower. So today we're going to try and fix that as much as we can. And we'll start by basically lifting the truck up. We're going to take off this tire, the front driver tire, and we're going to adjust the coilover height in here. Now, this is something you can do with the Fox suspension, with a coilover suspension. If you don't have that kind of suspension, the only thing you can really do is put in spacers. So we'll see how much the back changes after we adjust the front. I'm guessing it's only going to change by a little bit. And once we've adjusted the back, or sorry, once we've adjusted the front, I'll have to make a judgment call on whether or not I want to put in a coil spacer, like a 1-inch coil spacer back here to try and balance it out. We're almost at an inch, not quite. So, you know, once you put my weight, generally I'm sometimes the only one driving the truck, so you put my weight in here, you know, this number might become a whole inch. So a 1-inch coil spacer back here might actually level the truck out in a way that when you're driving down the road, you're sitting perfectly level. So let's get to it. Okay, so there's one more thing that we need to consider before we just go and adjust the ride height, and that is our alignment. So when we're looking at the truck here, these are our lower control arms. And the lower control arms actually have quite a bit to do with where the tire is sitting, you know, your camber. So your negative, positive camber. I'm not going to be able to adjust the toe in here today myself. I just don't have the skills or the knowledge. But what we can try and do is compare our lower control arm alignment, how far out each one's sitting. And just by taking a quick look at this, we can see here, this is rotated back. So this control arm is sitting in from center. So if this line was dead center, we'd be basically centered, you know, sitting center of the adjustment zone. If we go over to this one, we're sitting center. So this control arm is maybe a 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch further out. And that means that the bottom of this tire is going to be leaning out compared to the top. And you might not be able to see it on video, but I did measure it, and we are about a 1/4 inch, which isn't a ton, but over time it does lead to tire wear. And I'm not sure if you can see this on video, but you might be able to tell that we have quite a bit of inside tire wear. And the two things that cause that are going to be having a negative camber or having excessive toe in, so that you know, the tire is not sitting perfectly straight when you're driving down the road. So the combination between that lower control arm and our ride height issue means that instead of going the full 7/8 you know, adjustment on this coilover, I'm gonna probably just start with adjusting it by maybe 5/8, just a total guess. And once we've adjusted it 5/8, we'll see how it's sitting, because the more we push up, the more that top control arm is gonna go down like this, and it's gonna change how the tire is sitting, okay? And that, you know, this is the truck unloaded, right? So this isn't driving weight, but still, we'll try and get it sitting so it's basically level at driving weight. Now, when you take it to alignment shop, they have specifications. They're going to try and set everything in line with specifications provided, whether it's by the supplier or, you know, maybe the lift manufacturer can give someone some guidance on where it should be sitting. So yeah, we're going to try and go about 5/8 of height adjustment on this driver's side coilover, and then we're going to play with the lower control arms and try and move them the same amount out or in as required to get this tire here sitting much more level, as my passenger tire just right now, not doing anything, is only about a 1/16 out of plumb, measuring off the rim. Okay, so we are going to start this off the same way we start off any service in the truck, which is by loosening off the lug nuts. If we're going to take a tire off, we got to loosen off the lug nuts before we lift it. Okay, so we're gonna remove the shock. Oh, I forgot how heavy these are. And while we're here, we might as well just inspect and see if there's any other damage to the shock. Might be a sign that we're not taking good care of it. Well, got a lot of dirt buildup in there, a lot of grease. We might be having a slight oil leak. So the way we're going to adjust this shock is we're going to lower this by spinning it, and we're going to add compression to this coil. So we're going to measure off of this here, and we're sitting at about 2 1/4 there. 2 1/4 bang on. It's already the same size as the other side. I know this because I checked it just the other day, and also because that was the setting that I actually set it to when I put the suspension together. So I'm going to compress the coil springs using coil spring compressors because it's safer than trying to just force the pressure down on this adjuster while the spring is still pushing against it, which could, you know, cause undue wear, lead to breakages, damage the part. We don't want to deal with that. So we're past, that's perfect. So we've gone from 2 1/4 to 2 7/8, which is a 5/8 different. So just past a 1/2 inch. Okay guys, so my other camera died, so sorry if the sound quality changed here, but now we've adjusted the coilover here. We've added 5/8 of height, so we've compressed this coil by 5/8. We're going to reinstall it, then we'll drop the truck, and after we drop the truck, we'll roll it back and forth, see how it's sitting, take a look at the alignment, and then we'll move on to trying to adjust the lower control arms real quick. See if that fixes the alignment, and we'll mount the new tires. Okay, we're just going to put everything back together. Added our 5/8 height there, and yeah, let's see how she goes. Okay guys, so just recording with my cell phone here, but there's a lot of work. Well, it's not a lot of work, but it just, you know, it takes a bit of muscle. So I didn't record this part, but you can see this side, the passenger side, we're sitting out to the outside, and now we're sitting about the same on the driver's side now. And we've adjusted the ride height up by 5/8. And we were within, after that we were within 1/4 from right side of the truck to the left side of the truck in ride height. Now we've moved this. Doesn't look like much, but it's actually a significant amount. I'm gonna drop it. We're gonna see, and don't forget we also moved the back. So, you know, take a look. I tried to keep it as even as possible. This is obviously just temporary. I'm taking it in to get properly aligned later, but I'm gonna drop it again, and I'll show you, you know, the real basic way how to measure how your tires sit, and so you can get a kind of idea. And then if it looks good, we'll call it a day here. We'll get the new tires mounted. Okay, gang. So we finished doing the control arms, and I'll show you a quick way that you can kind of check, you know, very roughly, without too many tools, how your tires are sitting. So you want to make sure you're on a level floor. This is a level shop floor. You know, it's within a 1/16 or so it's about as close as you're going to get. You can take a 4-foot level, and you want to go center of the rim when your steering is set perfectly straight, and you might want to roll the truck back and forth a couple times, roll the tires around. So just choose a number. I'm choosing 5 inches in the bottom there, and then you hold the top as level as you can, and you measure off the rim again. And if you look at this here, I'm at 4 15/16. So I went from being almost 5/16 out to being a 16th out in the opposite direction. So for a home alignment, that's going to be good enough for me. We're gonna leave it like that. We're gonna mount the new tires, which will of course change the alignment a little bit again, but it should be within reason. And then we're going to take it to the alignment shop and get it done professionally a little bit later. So if you remember, this is what we were looking at before for ride height. So let's see how our ride height is now. So now we're at about 10.5, maybe 10 9/16. Wow, it's like an inch difference. So call it 10.5, new size. And on this side, we're now sitting at about 10 5/8. 10 5/8. So it's actually lifted both sides up. and now we're within 1/8. So before going to the alignment shop, that's not bad. We've gone from 7/8 to 1/8 out of distance. Let's check the back. Now remember I said I thought the back would not change as much, just because you have the same lean issue going on with the back springs. Anyways, we've got basically 11 5/8 on the driver's side. 11 5/8. And on the passenger side, we've got 11 7/8. 11 7/8. So it's actually gone down by 3/16 on this side. And we're within a quarter over here. So you can see for yourself, pretty big improvement overall for just a at-home, adjustment. I'm not a professional by any means, but the truck is going to run a little bit better. We're not going to feel like we're sagging to the left. We should get better tire wear out of the front tire, and until we can get it into a shop and have it done professionally, that's how you do it. So thanks for watching.